Hello guys, so today's really exciting. We're going to cover modes and modal mixing. So this lesson might be a bit confusing, it's more advanced. What we're covering is there's actually 7 variations to play the major scale. And this is important because it gives us different type of moods and flavors to music and helps us create new chord progressions, new types of melodies, and new types of scales. Because the C major scale, the variations they're called modes, and each one has a specific unique name that comes from Greek. So the C major scale can also be called the C Ionian scale. Now, when I play the variation of it, I can start on the second note of the scale, and it's going to give me a minor scale. And you're going to ask me, well, why is it a minor scale? If I'm just playing the C major scale and starting on the second note and finishing on the second note, isn't it just a C major scale? Well, because we're starting on the first note, the D is now our home, our anchor. And if we look at our scale formula starting from the D, we're going to get a completely different scale than when we start on the first note. It might look confusing because I'm playing all the same white keys. But when I take that scale formula and I apply it to the C note, you're going to actually see how many changes are being made. So if I do this, okay, and I count the intervals, whole tone, half tone, whole tone, whole tone, whole tone, half tone, whole tone. If I do this now from C, apply the same formula, whole tone, half tone, whole tone, whole tone, whole tone, half tone, whole tone. Now do you see how we have a different scale? It's a minor scale. It's a minor scale because now we have a flat third. We also have a flat seventh. And what makes this scale unique and gives it its unique sound is its natural six. Now, I'm going to play to you now musical examples of all the different variations and modes. There are 7 type of modes. We call it Ionian, Dorian. If it starts on the third note, it'll be the Phrygian. When we start our variation from the fourth note, so for example, like this, yes, it's all the white keys, but if we count the formula that we have here, the scale formula, whole tone, whole tone, whole tone, half tone, whole tone, whole tone, half tone, and we transpose it to our C, you're going to realize we're not playing the C major scale anymore. We're playing a different scale. See? We're playing a different note on the scale now. So this will be the Lydian. It's confusing unless you hear it in a musical context. When we start it from the fifth note to the fifth note, that's the Mixolydian. From the sixth note to the sixth note, the scale that's being created, or this variation, is called the Aeolian. And the seventh one, it's the Locrian. We're not even going to look at it because it's not musically really useful. So stick around, listen to the musical examples. Okay, so now you've heard the different moods and colors that we're able to create from creating scale variations. Now, in order for us to really feel the mood of each type of scale, it's important to select chords that are unique to it. So hopefully you understand how we find a scale formula. I told you how we just pick one note, maybe the second note of the scale, and we count the intervals. So we have whole tone, half tone, whole tone, whole tone, whole tone, half tone, whole tone. Then you can take that and apply it to a different note. So you see, I've written out for each mode the scale formula in whole tones or in numerals, whatever is easier, okay? And what's important to really get that sound is to create the proper chord progression. Because if I just played, I want to get the D Dorian sound, but let's say I just played C major, F, and G, our chord progression is not actually suggesting D Dorian sound. So what is important is we have to look at what is unique to each scale and its chord progressions, right? In the first video, we covered how we create a chord progression by taking every other note in the progression, right? So if we look at the D Dorian and I look at its 1-4-5 progression, so the 1 is a minor, the 4 is a major, and the 5 is a minor. So we see, okay, we're getting a different type of 1-4-5 from this progression. We're getting a minor 1, a major 4, and a minor 5. So we have to make sure that if we want to create a Dorian sound, we need to create the progressions that are unique to it. So if I want to create a C, if I want to create a Dorian sound, I'm not going to play a C major and then F major and then a G major. No, I'm going to start with a Dorian, with a D. I'm going to play the 4 and the 5. Okay, so let's look at our different scale formulas and see what is unique to each sound. So we can see that in the Dorian, we have a flat third, a major 6, and a flat 7th. In our chord progression, our 1 is a minor, unlike our 1 in the major scale, where it's a major. We have a major 4 and a minor 5. We also have a major flat 7. So the chords we want to emphasize to create our Dorian sound is the 1, 4, 5, and our flat 7. Now if we look at the Phrygian progression, what is unique about the Phrygian sound is that we have a flat 2. So when we're creating our chord progressions, we want to include that major flat 2 because it's going to suggest a Phrygian sound. It also has a minor 4. We want to avoid playing the 5 because it's a diminished chord and it's not very useful. So the sounds that we want to create is a flat 2, even the flat major 3rd, and a minor 4th. We can also include the minor flat 7, okay? But we really want to include that flat 2 in the chord progression. In our Lydian, what is unique? Well, it's very similar to our major scale, except it has a raised 4th. So if we look at our chord progression, the big difference we have between this and the major scale is that our 2 chord is a major. It's not a minor. So we want to emphasize playing a major 1 and a major 2 chord. Our 5 chord is still major, and our sharp 4 chord we kind of want to avoid because it's a diminished sound. We also can include our major 7th as a minor chord because that's what makes this unique to the major scale. Okay, now we're in the Mixolydian sound. What is unique to this? It's a flat 7th, very similar to the major scale except it has a flat 7th, which also means if we want to highlight this scale, we want to include a major flat 7 in our chord progression. Our 4 and 5 is actually similar to Dorian, right? So, except the difference is this time our 1 is major. If I played a minor 1, right, it would sound a lot like our Dorian progression because we have a major 4 and a minor 5. Major 4 and a minor 5. Okay? What really makes the Mixolydian mode different than the Dorian in chord progression wise is that our 1 is major. Okay? So if we want to include notes that are unique just to the scale. If we just play the 4 and 5, our ear might be confused. Are we playing Mixolydian or we're playing a Dorian chord progression? So then it'll be good to include the flat 7 on the major 1 here. Do we understand how we really want to highlight what makes each chord progression unique? Okay, the last one, the Aeolian or the natural minor. Here, we see what makes it different, for example, from the Dorian, is we do have a minor 4 chord in our chord progression. See, this is a major 4. So here we have a minor 4. So I can play a minor 4, minor 1, minor 4, and minor 5, and that's really going to give us a unique Aeolian progression. If I just played, let's see, a minor 1, let's see what else is unique. If I just played a minor 1 and a major flat 7, we wouldn't know is it a Dorian or an Aeolian progression. We want to look for what is unique to this progression. What else is special to it? Okay, we have a minor flat 6, so we can play this major chord off the flat 6, flat 7. Okay, now the interesting thing here too is if we're getting bored with our sounds, we can actually start swapping chords from different modes. And let me show you what I mean. We can actually borrow chords from modes. So let's say I'm in the C major scale. Okay, and we have a regular chord progression. But what if I want to really spice it up? I can actually take a chord from not the C Ionian, but from the C Aeolian. And that might be a major flat 3 chord. And so now I have a different chord progression. I could have a chord progression where I borrow from a different C scale, and it will sound like this. Okay, so now we have a new way of being really creative where we can start borrowing chords from different progressions. Maybe I want to borrow a chord from, let me see. Well, yeah, let me borrow that from the Aeolian, the flat major. So maybe I'll play this. And now I'll go back to the C major. So I played the 1-4-5 from C major, but I borrowed a chord from the Aeolian. I might actually borrow a chord from, let's say, the Phrygian. So I might actually play a flat major second. So a flat second chord. So like this. So I played the major 1 and 4 from the major scale, but from the Phrygian scale I borrowed this note. I can borrow also scales. So let's say I'm playing this chord progression. Well, yes, I can play over the over this chord progression. I can play all the notes from the C major scale, but I can also borrow a different scale. Instead of playing a C major over the E, I can decide, hey, maybe I want to play a Dorian over the E minor chord. So I'm borrowing a scale from a different mode. So now, so when the E is being played, see, so I can play different scales over different chords depending what flavor I want the melody to sound over that chord, and I get to play outside the key. So we can borrow chords, and we can also borrow scales when we play a different scale over a chord. So I'll show you some more musical examples, and hopefully this was fun and exciting for you to learn. Thank you.